All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since I've covered Russia because I've been doing other things and because the news has been a little topsy-turvy in regards to what's actually happening there. And apparently, apparently I'm smarter than everybody. Apparently, other than myself, the Duran, and a few other, shall we say, dissident and sectarian individuals, no one believed that Russia could or would pull this off. And yet, here we sit with an article in The Guardian of all damn. Apparently, and this infected everyone. The propaganda on both sides has been simply that propaganda. And it's fooled everyone. Apparently, when it comes to modern warfare analysis, I'm smarter than Arch Warhammer, which is I'm not casting any shade. I love his analysis, but he did a video about, is Russia running out of tanks? Really? Really? My dude, just take a step back and, read the room. We had accusations from the people who actually are part of the Lotus Eaters with Carl Benjamin, who thought that Putin was a World Economic Forum agent, and I did a video debunking that because it was a ludicrous accusation. It was a black-pilled, nonsensical, quote-unquote, centrist position that Putin was in fact part of the Klaus Schwab cult, and that all of this was just a manipulation from the grand elites and a grand conspiracy that everything was going the way that the elites wanted it to. Well, we know that America has sent $14 billion to Ukraine in aid and whatnot, and yet we have an article from The Guardian that came out a couple of days ago. And in this article, this is President Biden speaking. So this is something that I've been really on the lookout for, especially in regards to how the administration is going to admit defeat. And this is the admission of defeat. The U.S. president says there was, quote, no doubt Putin was planning to, quote, go in, while former British Army head says leaders have no long-term plan dealing with Ukraine. That's my addition. Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, quote-unquote, didn't want to hear warnings of the Russian invasion, according to the U.S. President Joe Biden. Now, whether that's true or not, you and I both know that when this whole shitstorm kicked off, it was because Zelensky and his regime and his, shall we say, inner circle were being egged on by people in NATO and the U.S. Apparatus, executive apparatus, I will add. This is under Joe Biden's presidency and his his handling of foreign affairs that encouraged Zelensky to try and join NATO, which precipitated Vladimir Putin attacking. So they knew what they were doing. They knew that it was the United States, in fact, that was pushing for this move that Vladimir Putin said he would attack, and he did attack. Speaking at a fundraising reception in Los Angeles on Friday, Biden said, quote, there is no doubt Vladimir Putin was planning to go in. Nothing like this has happened since World War II, he told donors. I know a lot of people thought I was maybe exaggerating. But I knew we had data to sustain Putin was going to go in off the border, there was no doubt, and Zelensky, again throwing Zelensky under the bus, didn't want to hear it. Biden was talking about his work to rally and solidify support for Ukraine as the war continues into its fourth month. However, despite the West's ongoing support for Ukraine and Zelensky, a former head of British Army accused leaders of lacking a long-term strategy in the conflict. General Lord Richards said the British government had adopted a, quote, let's see how it goes strategy and was failing to show decisiveness. Writing in the Daily Telegraph, he says there is at best what might be termed incremental strategy with, again, no early and decisive synchronization of ends, ways, and means. It's a let's see how this goes strategy. In other words, not really a strategy at all. There is still little idea in London, Washington, or elsewhere how we want the war to pan out or what sort of Russia we seek to shape, especially in the vital long-term issue of relations with China. This is cope. And it's not just cope, it's a bait and switch. They are failing. The West is failing to bring a sufficient influence into the Ukrainian-Russian war. And they're throwing Zelensky under the bus. They are just tossing him to the wolves, saying, we told him this would happen. No, you told him that you had his back, and you can't have his back because Vladimir Putin played his cards perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. This man has the support of his populace. Your sanctions on him has secured his position as an oil producer in the region. Europe needs his oil, and OPEC, the other members of OPEC, have sided with Russia. You are boned. And this article is confirming Copium that they in fact know that they can't win. And they are anticipating a Russian victory. Which, if you've been watching this channel, has been the hypothesis ever since this war or conflict started. But let's go on further. The article reads, quote, Britain remains one of the world's leading economies and military powers, even if it is a decidedly regional strategic power these days, more cope. Strategy is about choices, and the more choices one needs to make to balance the ends, ways, and means when pursuing the national interest, the more informed they need to be. Again, what they're actually criticizing is the lack of will to do more, which Vladimir Putin preemptively took from them. They cannot do more. They cannot declare war against Russia without increasing the economic hardships that the people on the ground of these nations. Britain is having massive inflation. The United States, massive inflation. The gas prices are through the roof. It is insane out here. We are going to see $10 a gallon by the end of the year. And that is, that's not sustainable. Vladimir Putin knows that it's not sustainable. So the West either has to play ball or suffer the consequences. Zelensky said on Saturday, and by the way, and what that means is, end the war quickly or I will make you suffer. And the West is bowing its head meekly going, you probably have a point. That's what we're anticipating here. But continuing on, Zelensky said on Saturday that Ukraine was on course to win the grinding war with Russia as fighting becomes focused on a key city in the east. No, it's not. Zelensky's losing. Russian forces have been trying to seize whatever city name that is in an eastern advance, turning it into one of the bloodiest battles of the conflict to date. We're definitely going to prevail in this war that Russia has started, Zelensky told in a conference in Singapore via video link. It is on the battlefields in Ukraine that the future rules of this world are being decided. But neither side's forces have so far been able to steal a march despite ferocious street fighting, which has seen much of the city reduced to rubble. Britain's defense ministry said on Saturday that Russian forces had not made advances into the south of the city as of Friday. Again, this is Copium. We know that the Russians are advancing. We know that they're winning. We know that they are chasing the Azov battalion and routing them. And the only reason that we are getting an article from The Guardian about the U.S. president saying, oh, we warned him this would happen, is because he knows they're going to lose. He knows that they're not on the winning side. This is an admission of defeat while saying that you're still winning, and it is the most transparent thing to anyone who's read news in the last 5 years to know what is going on here. Yeah. Mariupol, sanitation systems were broken, corpses rotting in the streets, due to Russian bombardment. The Office of Ukraine's Prosecutor General said on Telegram that at least 287 children had died in the war so far. So they're trying to gin up more support by presenting the bodies of the children. You don't do that if you're winning a war. You don't recruit. You don't have a, what do you call it? You don't have a, what is it? An enlistment. You don't have a forced draft if you're winning a war. Ukraine is not winning by any stretch of the imagination. And to compound that, the United States president is kind of like taking a step back, scratching his neck, going, hey, we told Zelensky this would happen. It's not our fault, despite sending him $40 billion of taxpayer money to help fight a war we didn't vote for anyway. And so there we are, folks. The backpedaling has begun, and the Russian victory is all but assured. That's all for this video. Stay carnal, and God bless everyone. Bye-bye.